Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Podcast Network on this Tuesday, May 20th. Just got into what could happen with this new commission, new CEO. It's going to be interesting. But now we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk a little bit about Notre Dame, USC. Could that be ending? Before I get into that, though, I just want to remind everybody that this show is all about you. We love hearing your comments, your questions, your insights, your opinions, your hot takes, whatever you got, we want to hear it. We want to make this show as interactive, as exciting as possible. Now, one easy way to do that, if you're on YouTube, you can use the super chat feature. All you have to do to use the super chat feature is click the $ at the bottom of the chat box, type in your message there, send that in. This will guarantee that your message gets on the air, gets read live, and it's also just a great way to support our channel, support what we're trying to build here at GSMC. We couldn't do what we do. We're so grateful to have you all as a part of our community here. And if Super Chat's not your thing, if you're not on YouTube, you can also go to gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, leave a comment there on that website. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. Thank you for all that you do to support the GSMC Podcast Network. Now, let's get into one of the classic, historic rivalries in college football throughout the entirety of the sport. Notre Dame, USC could potentially be ending. So when Notre Dame Athletic Director Pete Pavalqua was asked by Sports Illustrated yesterday on Monday about whether they plan to play annually against the University of Southern California, he said, "I think Southern Cal and Notre Dame should play every year for as long as college football is played, and SC knows that's how we feel." Think about it. This is a rivalry. Two blue bloods, classic programs of college football that have met 95 times since 1924, playing every single year, but the three during World War II and during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. This is a rivalry that has extended 100 years across the nation. But this year, the October 18th game in South Bend is currently, as it's slated, the last one in the current contract of the Notre Dame USC series. Now, USC has offered a 1-year extension to play Notre Dame in Los Angeles again next year in 2026, according to sources that talk to Sports Illustrated. But Notre Dame, they want another long-term deal. And USC Associate Athletic Director Cody Worsham, he talked to Sports Illustrated as well. He said, "We want the USC-Notre Dame rivalry to continue, which is why we offered an extension of our agreement. It's a special game to our fans and our institution. We will continue to work with Notre Dame on scheduling feature games." So, USC, despite Cody Worsham's words saying, "We want this to continue, this is a special game for us," they've expressed reluctance to enter into a long-term deal due to uncertainty about the future college football playoff format, and also while assessing the demands of greater travel as a member of the Big Ten. USC has, however, broached the idea of potentially moving the game to a season opening spot on the schedule in which they would open every year with Notre Dame. I don't mind that, personally. If this series did continue, making it the first game of the season, I don't know, I traditionally view it more as a late year matchup, or mid to late year, but if it means continuing the series, okay, put it as week 1. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Would be an interesting way to get eyeballs to screens. But this is a series where no annual series has more programs with more national title wins at all between the two programs. Notre Dame has won 9 national championships. USC has won 7 since the AP poll began in 1936. And that was when they kind of established a national standard for national champions. If you look at it, these are two of the greatest brands in college football history. This rivalry goes back 100 years, basically. Then there's an infamous story where Newt Rockne's wife, allegedly, she convinced her husband that a trip to Southern Cal every 2 years would be a nice little perk. She probably just wanted a vacation. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's a nice little anecdote, though. But since then, they've combined for the most national championships between any annual rivalry series, had 15 Heisman winners, some of the greatest games in college football history. This is one of the best rivalries across the sport. It really kind of be just a rough thing for college football. Not great, Mark. Not a great look if this series was gone. If it went by the wayside completely. And this is something Notre Dame has been extending rivalry series. They just recently agreed to a 12-game home and away agreement with Clemson that's scheduled to begin in 2027. But they don't think this is an impediment to doing something similar to USC. In fact, they kind of want something similar to the Clemson agreement that they just signed. And this is a game where Clemson, Notre Dame, yes, solid rivalry. It's a nice little one that's kind of developed in the past decade or so. Notre Dame, USC. It goes back much longer than I've been alive, longer than my father's been alive, longer than my grandfather has been alive. This is a series that has been played forever. It's one of the classics. It's an East versus West, Midwest versus West, differing styles of football, different weather. Notre Dame, you have to play in the cold, the snow, just nasty weather, especially when it gets to the late season. Then you have Southern California, beautiful, sunny, 70 all the time, right? Different contrasting styles, and that's what makes it so great, is the difference, but the combined greatness of these two programs. Two historically proud programs, yes, that have kind of fallen off in certain points, but they're both still there. If you look at, they have two head coaches in Lincoln Riley, Marcus Freeman, who are both entering their 4th seasons there. Yes, Lincoln Riley, under his tenure at USC, they've slid. They went from 11-3 to 8-5 to 7-6 last year, and last year was their first year in the Big Ten, so you can kind of expect an adjustment period, right? Under Marcus Freeman for Notre Dame, they've kind of been on a different trajectory. They've improved from 9-4 to 10-3 to last year 14-2 and a berth in the national championship and the college football playoff. And when you look at their head-to-head matchups, Marcus Freeman 2-1 against Lincoln Riley, winning the last two, which makes sense when you look at kind of the caliber of teams that these two programs have had in recent years. But this is a series that, look at those two coaches as well. Lincoln Riley is 41, Marcus Freeman 39. If they are both there for a long time, this can be one of the greatest coaching matchups of all time. Think about it. If they both are there, these are two marquee programs, marquee jobs, places you don't just leave, right? They're both going to be around for a long time, especially if Lincoln Riley is able to stay at USC. It could be a coaching rivalry too, not just a program one, a coaching rivalry for the next decade. Something that could go for 10 plus years if there's potential. Then you look at the travel. Okay, USC, I kind of understand what you're saying, right? Yes, with being in the Big Ten, now you have to travel a lot more. But this is something Notre Dame has dealt with for 100 years. Notre Dame has been able to figure it out where they've traveled across the country pretty much every year in football. USC can too. USC is not hurting for finances. This is what that money's for. You can schedule a game across the country. You can travel all the time. It's okay. And you chose to go to the Big Ten. You made your bed, now you have to lie in it. If you wanted to be in the Big Ten, you knew that came with the territory, right? You'd have to travel to Rutgers. You'd have to go to Ohio. You'd have to go to Pennsylvania, right? That just comes with being in the Big Ten. Okay? You keep your Notre Dame game. It's same thing. And Notre Dame has dealt with this for much longer than USC has. So it doesn't really make sense of throwing the Notre Dame rivalry game away for a Big Ten opponent. Say you just replace that with, instead of going to Notre Dame, you go to Bloomington, Indiana instead. Pretty much kind of the same distance for USC. Would you rather see USC versus Notre Dame in a marquee rivalry game? Or would you rather see them play Indiana, a team that they have no ties to? A team that, yes, they've been on the rise, but this is not a rivalry. It's not a game that would excite the casual fan, USC Indiana. Whereas USC Notre Dame, it's always going to be up there. It's always going to be one of those top marquee rivalries. Throwing that away for kind of the sake of travel just isn't fair. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's something that, why would you do that for USC? And I understand the conference kind of game argument, right? They have to play 9 Big Ten conference games. That's tough, especially it often adds another high-profile matchup. And then if the Big Ten SEC kind of schedules some kind of agreement, that's going to add another 1 or 2 marquee games to USC schedule. You add Notre Dame on top of that, that's 11 potential marquee matchups. Okay, that's tough. That's going to make that a complicating factor. And that's something that Notre Dame doesn't have to deal with, at least for right now, as an independent. But this is USC. This is a program that's too great, too proud to back down from a challenge. They're top 10 all-time in wins, top 5 in national championships, one of the most famous helmets, marketing teams, one of the most recognizable brands in college football, biggest market in the country. You can't back down from this. You have to maintain this rivalry. Keep that proud game going. Just keep the Notre Dame USC matchup. I can understand some of the logistics, but this is a rivalry that's too great to be thrown to the wayside because of some minor issues. So now we're going to take another short break on the show. When we come back, we're going to look at some guys that I think could bounce back after rough 2024 seasons to have great 25 years. But stick with us. We'll be back on the GSMC College Football Podcast.